So as businesses realize the value of the cloud to improve business performance and agility, organization accelerated their cloud adoption to be able to leverage its huge capabilities across availability and flexibility and the reliability of resources it brings in. However, soon I think all of us realized that to unlock the full potential of the cloud and the new infra modernization and effectively to compete in the unpredictable, data obsessed businesses environment, there is also an urgent need to modernize the underlying IT infrastructure. So, but cloud infrastructure modernization is not an easy task, and therefore the numerous challenges require that CIOs to come up with a modernization strategy that can sustain the enterprise needs in the long run. So, it has not been possible for our organization to just junk their legacy IT infrastructure, which they have been having, and the systems and applications that are not core of their operations. However, aging infrastructure can be bane of your cloud strategy and can lead to bottlenecks that will derail your cloud migration strategy. The result, inadequate data security, poor agility, and wasted expenditure, among many others. So, for successful digital transformation, your underlying IT infrastructure must be scalable, reliable, and cloud ready with the capability to respond to changes in the market, the trending which are there. Look at the many challenges and benefits of infrastructure management. We feel it's time to put the individual efforts at infrastructure modernization and perspective to build a movement for infrastructure modernization based on the collective and shared experiences of infrastructure leaders in the industry. So the aim is to set the benchmarks of great value for the industry to accelerate digital transformation. And as you are aware, economic uncertainty has made businesses lean into IT for business solutions. Some of the CIOs and IT infrastructure leaders have emerged as the core influencer group of the industry, and they are leading the digital transformation and infrastructure modernization initiatives in their companies with an eye to business resilience and agility. So that brings us to the purpose of today's roundtable conversation here and CIO&Leader in association with AdaniConnex. So as industry leaders, your insights, your views would help us develop these path-breaking recommendations, and that brings us to a stage where I would like to invite Mr. Bhutani. He's the Senior Vice President with AdaniConnex to share his industry context so that we can follow with a perspective and questions here from the leaders sitting in the room.
Carrying forward from what Sachin said. It's when no, I'm okay. So today's rather topic, right? You guys represent all across the spectrum of the industries that are present today in the country, right? And for the country today, we're in a journey where it's ever evolving. Infrastructure across the board is revamping, getting energized to support what is the vision of the future, right? So in that context, we wanted to sort of address and take your views on how the industry is wanting to reshape its digital future through infrastructure, right? Along with some of the technology and practices which are relevant. Right? So it's very important that we begin at the core where it's about bringing digital transformation. Right? Digital transformation for an organization works at multiple tiers. All of you have been those change makers, bringing that necessary empowerment across employees, across customers, across products, and across operations, right? For each of your individual organizations and industries as a whole. And we see that this trend is growing. Today, that trend is more transformed into being more intelligent. Intelligence is actually driving digital transformation across all of these critical layers of the organization. And we see that ultimately this is translating into energized business value for the overall industry. So if we take on to this agenda for digital transformation, we see that the industries and the simultaneous infrastructure landscape is going hand in hand and needs that nourishment or that empowerment. So if we talk about we have representation from energy, right? We have representation from BFSI, we have representation from government, healthcare, right? In that case, what we see are these sectors relying heavily on the underlying bed, right, which is digital infrastructure, right from your connectivity layer, which is core, then we build onto the data center layer, today represented by enterprise data centers as well as the edge data centers, right, which bring processing really close to all of these industries. And then that middle tier of how your applications and your entire identity model works hand in hand with service orientation, right? So the overall industry verticals, if I talk about digital infrastructure landscape, primarily are focusing on building infrastructure services, application services, and definitely some transformational services. And these services over the time have now translated into as a service based model. So now everything is as a service, right? Rather than being individualistic deployments. So this sort of leads us to build an infrastructure framework, right? Wherein we have some of the attributable components. When I talk about what do IT leaders expect out of digital infrastructure, right? They need to scale, they need to be high performing, customer focused, right? They need to be heterogeneous, they need to be managed in a way that it is multiple orchestrated, right? It has to be secure in nature. And ultimately, we need to drive value out of this overall digital infrastructure. If we don't reduce complexities, if we are unable to optimize the overall cost impact, make it a completely transparent or a fully visible model for the industry, then we will not be able to drive those business value. Today, just looking at digital infrastructure and paying the sum for it is not the overall agenda. How does it go with your overall business value? It has to be value driven. Right? And ultimately, if the below layers of being attributable and value driven are in place, we see that even the digital infrastructure has an impact on people, has a great impact on process, technology, and overall the enrichment of data, ultimately driving business outcomes for your organizations. Right? So, driving from this overall digital framework, we identified certain relevant key pillars in today's digital services. Right, content is on the rise, right, and it becomes really important to bring this together, manage it, and deliver it for individualistic organizations. Right, it's today around building technology services which are hybrid in nature, right, which don't bound you with a certain context. It has to be multi-cloud, right. The architectures and especially around application have to be secured right from the way they're designed and the way they're deployed. Right? Overall, bringing an interoperability aspect to technology. Today's, especially the tech field, is driven by partnerships. Right? For us at AdaniConnex, sustainability is an agenda which does not just generate out of one part of the overall environment, right, or one part of the overall context. If I make the digital infrastructure sustainable, ultimately I have to look at other people in the ecosystem to also drive that agility and derive that sustainability. And the fourth pillar is identity. Right? To build a complete ecosystem around trusted identity, to have that access controls, to have that entire profile mapping to the way we consume digital services, that's a very critical element for us to also solve. Right? So across this board, and taking a cue from the previous digital services and infrastructure practices, we've sort of built a holistic approach towards enriching India's digital infrastructure.
I'll take it from that. So, you must have heard Adani's name. Why AdaniConnex? So, Connex is a nice name, something which got connected. I'm sure a couple of you must have heard. So, we have got a 50-50 JV with AdaniConnex. Adani is well known for infrastructure building. And this partner, AdaniConnex, brings in a lot of experience on a data center across the globe. They are operating, they are operating in US, UK, Netherlands, and Dublin. So a couple of countries they are already operating, and APAC also they started operations. So one part of data center is infrastructure, which Adani is well poised in terms of land parcel, in terms of policy, in terms of power. Power is our key forte, which is, I'm sure you know, we have got a 25 gigawatt of green power available, hybrid solutions are available. And that's a key differentiator in the market. Today, no one gives 100% green energy. Carbon neutral, I'm sure all of you must have taken a test, some days, some months, some year, you guys will be carbon neutral. So this is, Adani is the one who's helping organization not only to solve data center problem, but an organizational problem which can be solved. On the other side, design, build and operate is something which is very important from a credibility side. So that our partner brings in. A lot of practices which across the globe our partner is adopting, especially on health, safety, security is paramount for all our customers. So that is something which we are very seriously looking at that, and that's a journey we look at. At the same time, all of us know human resources are a key challenge for all of us. We actually encounter every now and then people are changing job and we have a short of resources. What we adopted is 35% of our AdaniConnex manpower is from colleges. When they join in, we actually straight send them to Amsterdam or Dublin for training for 6 months to a year. When they actually start their journey outside India, and India, in Indian complex environment, there are certain challenges. They see the real world. Oh my God.
It's the real world.
So they see data centers and the construction and the operation part of it, which is far better quality and environment. That is something which is helping them to come to India and adopt those kind of practices. As far as digital infrastructure goes, we see it in multiple ways. When we started this journey about 2.5 years back, we actually thought data center is the only pillar we need to focus. Obviously, sustainability was another. Clearly, the fiber is playing a key role in this game. So what we have done, all of us know, submarine cable, it lands in Chennai and Mumbai only. So we are unlocking that to 3 more cities. 2 are in southern part of the country. One in southern part of the country, 1 eastern, and 1 in central part of the country. Which is we are doing it in Vizag, Calcutta, and Delhi. So this unlocking is important because next phase of growth, all of us know, edge is going to come. 5G is going to come in October. How do we unlock? How do we give better experience to customers? So this is something which is a very key element which we are actively working. And we are not a telco. We are the data center operator. We are a neutral, carrier neutral operator. So what we have done is we have partnered with a couple of hyperscalers to co-build this fiber. Because otherwise it doesn't make business sense for us to be in this business. Second is terrestrial fiber. I'm sure all of us know every now and then roads are getting expanded, metros are getting constructed. So fiber is a big risk. We have adopted a very unique model in this. In AdaniConnex, we have got a utility fiber. We are a power company. Along with our transmission lines, there's a fiber called OPGW, which actually travels along with the transmission. And no one will ever dare to cut that cable. That almost gives almost 100% guarantee, reliability, which is important. And we are working with a lot of utility companies to build a utility fiber network which comes to our data center, ultimately goes to incumbent data center. We are not restricting whatever initiatives we are taking, we are actually making sure the society gets benefit and all the environment across DC gets benefited. That's another piece we are working. The next element is a multi-cloud. I'm sure we know 4 big operators are there, but how do we get this to a one box? And I'm sure all of us know we have got in mobile, we have got a portability. In cloud we don't. How do we make sure we maintain the portability and the flexibility for the CIOs and the organization? As and when you need, you can actually switch over to whichever you like it. So we are working with all 3 of them. We actually started a journey with one. We ourselves as a Adani group adopting to cloud. And we are shifting our workflows to one. The second and third we are making. So getting a cloud in a different form and shape, and Rupendra was saying, truly service as a service is yet to get evolved. Like bare metal as a service, boxes, everybody buys it. And what we are doing is, let's assume the box has got a life of 6, 7. So box has got a life of 5, 6 years. So we are making sure when the box also life gets over, that gets handed over to the company. So those kind of environments are very important. Product line, yes, they actually showed starting from bare metal or a backup as a service or security as a service. To name it, we'll have it in the next 2 years. All what we do is we experiment ourselves. We experiment whatever we introduce in the market, we actually implementing in Adani Group, then getting into the market. The last is, which is basically a super app. I'm sure all of us know when many people are working on a super app. We started this journey about 6 to 8 months back. Now we have got 300 scientists sitting in Delhi, Gurgaon rather. Those guys have started working on this project, and again we are implementing on our airport project and a gas and a port. So that analytics is helping us to grab more and more wallet share from the customer, helping them to ease of doing business is also important. So super app is also one of the products from B2C to B2B or reverse B2B to B2C. That is going to get actually reality. We are going to see it in real world. So sustainability, coming back to sustainability, as I was saying, is a very important subject. Today we know scarcity of power, all of us aware, all of us are aware. But at the same time, green power is something all of us aspire to have. And today, in today's world, we know all the state governments are in thick red in terms of their P&L because of a lot of issues in past. Now, getting a green power and that to a commitment. So Adani has got 17 states. We have got a setup available. When we serve our data center, we are not only relying on a utility, a state utility partner. We are actually making sure we give power from Adani setup. Sustainability doesn't end there. It's actually a water. Data center is a huge consumption of water. How do we make sure we give back water to a society? We are working on a lot of projects and seeing how can we give back water to a society. So sewerage system, reuse it, how can we help? The next is the hydrogen. I'm sure all of us know hydrogen today is very, very costly. It's about $4 price. But at the same time, in a developed country, it is $1. So we have actually started a journey with a Ballard company called Ballard. So we have started a journey in where we are seeing to get this to a very, very affordable and making sure this become a reality. It's a long shot we are playing, and that will make it. The last one, the most important is all of us know India is going to be digital, global digital hub. How do we make sure we ourselves are on a path of learning and a growth? Cloud adoption is a nascent state. We are at single digit, 9-10% today, and the developed countries are 60-65%. So the good part of the story is we are in a right era, right world where the growth is immense, and all of us are learning. While all of us are learning, how do we make sure we become a truly digital, India becomes a truly global digital hub? So we have started a very unique project. I'm sure all of you know, Singapore has got a moratorium to build data center. They don't have a power, they don't have a space, and there are some limitation to it. We are working with a couple of countries to make sure the law of land of that country applies in India. That is called digital embassy. So we are working with 3 countries to make sure the data is kept in India, but the law of land applies. The way embassy.
So is it a part of the GIFT City?
No, it's not part of GIFT City. It's a different project, and GIFT City is one of it, which you're right. Like fintech, some laws.
The laws of the land.
Yeah. Precisely. So that's it. On a wider scale, we can have it anywhere, but Indian government, the government of the other side, has to work. But the good story is, today we have worked almost about 2 years on this project now. And next 1 year to about 1.5 years, this is going to become a reality. So people are housing data center in India, and obviously on top of it, sustainability is a key because they need 100% sustainability. When someone buys a data center in Singapore, it's $300 kW versus India is 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 120. So the big transformation is happening not only from a perspective of energy, and the cost is also becoming very, very high. So,
but you know what happens is when you look at the Singapore or international costs, for them the cost becomes lower, but for Indians the cost always increases. Cost always increases because now you're benchmarking with them.
No, so digital embassy doesn't talk to the data center park. So we don't compare because that cable is separate. Every setup, what we are making for them is separate. So as you rightly said, the cost is the key element. That's the reason everything you want to give as a service.
Power costs are phenomenal. Power costs are phenomenal.
So ma'am, the biggest difference what we are getting in the past space is today, let's assume you are in Mumbai or a Hyderabad or Chennai, average cost is 7 to 9 rupees per unit. When we get into green energy part of it, it ranges from 4.5 to 7 rupees. That itself reduces because your OPEX is 50% or 60% is power. So that differentiation we are bringing, we are very mindful of the cost part of it. How do we make sure we create more and more market? And how do we get people from on-prem to a third-party data center to give them that comfort and an experience and a cost also, which is very important. Sorry, I'll take questions.
So, Sanjay, thanks. I think you've given a complete holistic perspective of the AdaniConnex capabilities and competencies. And I think that must itself be sort of a very insightful for many sitting here in the room. So, I recommend, I think, let's look at, from each of them, what kind of a challenges, issues they face. And I think, the solutions you talked about, they're quite refreshing in terms of the new trends which are building up in the infrastructure modernization. So I would like to start with Sanjay, especially what kind of issues you would want to sort of highlight when it comes to infra modernization, and especially in the backdrop of edge and the 5G going to come in.
You're putting everything now take a lead from what you presented. It would be useful to understand your specific points of presence in India, and how do you in terms of redundancy and availability zones you tend to provide to the feeder cities, where most of the businesses would be located. And when you're talking about this, a little bit on the RONC platform, if you could elaborate a bit. So these are the two immediate questions that I had.
Good question. So today India stands at about 550 odd megawatt capacity across India. And we know Mumbai is the biggest one, followed by Bangalore, then Chennai, and then Hyderabad, and the story goes on. So when we started the business, we holistically looked at the capacity and the growth which is happening across India, and we are growing at about 25% CAGR year-on-year basis. The good part of the story is whosoever predicts, he has gone wrong on a positive side of it. The growth has been for whatever hype we project. So we have taken our business to 1000 megawatt. In next 1 decade, we are building 1000 megawatt data centers, starting from Chennai. Chennai, we have already launched our first data center 2 weeks back, and we delivered to Flipkart, a large capacity to Flipkart. The first within the same campus, we have got 2 buildings. One is 17 megawatt, which is already operational today, and the 16 is we are yet to sell. The next biggest project of India is in Navi Mumbai. We recently acquired 100-acre land, which can house almost about 500 megawatt capacity. That is yet not started, but we have got another data center which have already started in Mumbai. We own the land, and it is smaller land. We are starting 12 megawatt capacity, 10 megawatt capacity in Powai, and it will be operational in September, October next year. So that is the second city. Hyderabad, we have started a large project of 100 megawatt. That we have already sold to one hyperscaler. That campus is sold. The next city is Noida. We have got 2 data centers, and one is sold to hyperscaler. The second is for enterprises. That is 50 megawatts. So 50 plus 50 in Noida. Bangalore, we have started looking for a land, and we recently acquired incumbent data center. This is a small 3 megawatt capacity data center. Once the deal is done and it's done, we are actually doing a registration of that, so we can announce it in 2 weeks from now. So that we get started, but our long journey in Bangalore is 25 megawatt. These are the cities what we have. The next one is the Vizag. We recently acquired a 130-acre land in Vizag to land a cable from Singapore, because that gives a better latency. That gives almost about 30-32 millisecond latency, and that's the shortest route connecting outside. So that's another project we are working on. As far as availability zone goes, the next question that you asked for. So in each city we have got 2 projects. Where Pune also, we have actually started a Hinjewadi 2, phase 2. We have started a project. It is a 17-acre land, and the next is 25 acre. So when I say acre, each acre can house about 5-6 megawatt. We can multiply by that. So today we sit at almost about a 400-acre land, which can house 1400 megawatt of capacity. So that's what we have done in last 2 years, and all these projects are different phases. So as I said, Chennai is delivered, and Mumbai is the next. Hyderabad we are building for someone, where to suit that project started. Noida we have already started. So these are the projects which are. We have actually acquired land in Calcutta as well. So one of the hyperscaler, well, the cable land, undersea cable land, people are looking for a diversity and people are looking for a change in terms of how can we make sure we can, if we have a better latency, then workload can shift there as well. So that's happy to answer for it. I'll answer about
Yeah.
To add to what Sanjay mentioned, you had a point on RONC.
I'm coming to that.
I think that leads, obviously, that's a roadmap. And when you're talking about the target cities, the other target cities, as consumers, not providers of your capacity. So that leaves Ahmedabad, Calcutta, Bhubaneswar. So suppose industries settle there and they want to avail of the services. What's the type of redundancy you intend to provide? Because we've just seen that anything which is not underground leads to a lot of disruption in terms of outages. So what's the type of feeding capacity that you intend to provide from your this roadmap of data centers that you have in mind? So, or Trivandrum for that matter. Though Trivandrum has a good landing station capacity by itself, so instead of being, it should be a feeder city itself.
Yes. So these are the large cities what I spoke about. So we know 5G is coming in October. We have partnered with one large company where 127 cities we are going to provide edge data center. In phase 1 it's only 90 because there is no demand. I can't make a business case and go to those cities. 19 cities will kickstart a journey in the month of December this year. And slowly Trivandrum is one, Guwahati is one, Lucknow is one. Likewise, Bhopal, Indore are the ones. So there are tier 2 towns which we are connecting. The capacity is small. We are starting with half megawatt to 2 megawatt. As far as the network goes, how do we connect? So we ourselves are building a network which goes in all the towns. And the partner what we have onboarded, they have got a fiber. They have got a fiber network. And all 3 telcos, big telcos, are already available. Power is available. Just I need to put a box which is truly DC in a box environment with the sustainability. So that journey has begun. So I spoke about only large now, but the edge part of it, we have already started a journey. In November, December onwards, we start implementing those 19 towns and the phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 comes in.
So Sanjay, interesting, and since we started with Sanjay from a distribution side, so let me invite views of the manufacturing and the distribution representation we have. So Elvi Sharma is here with us. Evaluation, I would like to ask Rajiv you also to chip in here. So we are also manufacturing this. Yeah, thermal generation is actually manufacturing. So with that, do you all feel that this infra offerings, which kind of they're like AdaniConnex, are they enough for sort of your kind of business to refresh the legacy plus as well as look at the new side of modernization you're looking at?
So, one of the challenges which currently, Sanjay has pointed out is the spread, and the kind of dependency which can have, because there are so many providers in the market, and each has got some differentiation. So how do I pick and choose is one. What are the criteria which suits to individual organization? These are the areas where organizations are like us trying to assess that do I get a complete redundancy? Do I get reach in case if we want to set up another one in somewhere?
Okay.
Okay. So these are the areas. Of course, there is an interesting that there are so many places we have initiated and starting up a data center. But we are confined to a large city, Mumbai, Delhi, as of today. But going forward, we see that there will be a requirement like edge computing kind of area. So that would be a very interesting when you start up in tier two.
So, sorry. No, what I was just thinking, maybe if you can just invite the views, and then maybe you want to give a different view on the manufacturing.
Yeah, it's the RONC platform.
Yeah.
It's very
Very rich.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thought which came to my mind is the presentation. Well, I'm sure you guys are pioneers in acquiring lands and keeping the power grid on. That's what your forte is. But I have seen many data center providers struggling beyond that. So you can have that. You can even buy servers, set the servers up. But when you want to create those platforms, generally you will depend on some OEM, like VMwares of the world, or maybe for like identity management as a service, you will rely on someone. How do you stitch it together and provide as a one pane kind of a like a Azure or AWS kind of a UI to end consumers wherever they get to services? I have seen many of the providers struggling there. So how are you planning to maybe construct that?
I think we can make a note of that. Rajiv.
So thanks, Adani. You are setting up quite a big infrastructure as see in India orientation. And I feel the way India is growing and the manufacturing is growing, it will require definitely. But the infrastructure at the data center is quite robust and it is increasing. But the challenge, especially for manufacturing, is because the manufacturing is mostly in the remote area. The biggest challenge is the last mile or the connectivity. So suppose if I am putting up my workload, which is carrying, let's say, one terabyte of data in particular workload, or altogether it is petabytes of data. So uploading and downloading stream, how it is handling. So that is the biggest bottleneck and always the speed breaker to move and shift things from on-prem to cloud in many of the areas.
Absolutely.
And so, how are you trying to address this this situation? So, one is the central level infrastructure, of course, and the connectivity also plays a very vital role in this. So,
Right.
so any thought in this and how you are trying to address this?
Paresh, thank you, Rajiv.
Same thought process, because in the manufacturing are very remote. Currently, we are facing such internet not getting more than 100 Mbps at that site. Correct? And we have already added some of the service like email and other things, but the production, which we say is our VTS system, vehicle tracking system, it's not able to move because the one thing is latency. Fine, because my PLC communicates less than millisecond. If it is not respond, my line stops. Correct? So it is very difficult to have such load onto the cloud.
So, one additional point is like 5G, we are all talking about 5G, but even in the current infrastructure, we are seeing
4G not receive
lot
that.
of order, lot of struggle for the data demand is continuously on rise. And the entire infrastructure available is not supporting that data demand. Though it is increasing rapidly, but the way it is increasing, the demand increases 4x.
10 times.
So it is like a road construction, and the same thing is happening in data point. So like any city is planned to do certain construction, but actually cities can increase their 3x or 4x. So it's a continuous cycle. The similar thing is happening in data space. So how is that speed to be met?
So we noted your views of the manufacturing and distribution side. Let's hear from a BFSI side now. So I start with the insurance company. What your observations is, are these sort of offerings giving range to do things better, especially in the BFSI environment where we have a lot of in-premise infrastructure?
So I will tell you what our challenge is. So we are a 20-year-old company and our core policy admin system is legacy. It is can't go to the cloud. Because no cloud service provider offers that option. So when we talk of hybrid cloud, yes, we want to embrace the cloud, but we will also need to have colo capacity. So the challenge that one faces is that you will end up selling large chunk of your space to one hyperscaler, right? And then in another city to another hyperscaler. Right? We want to work with all of them, and we also have colo. Right? If I have multiple data centers and my colo is somewhere else, there is going to be latency because none of my hyperscaler solutions are going to work without my connect to my core, right? We want that internet connectivity between multiple hyperscalers and the core. So what are data center providers going to do about that? And this is also required in two availability zones because one, we are regulated, two, we want to have that resilience, right? So again, like I said, it is available in some zone, not available in another zone. So that is really the challenge that we have.
So what I request, Sanjeev, I think let's note perspective industry-wide so that it will help you summarize in the interest of time. Yeah. So, Parveji, from Yes Bank, what?
The data centers are not a very as far as the exercise is concerned. We decide about it once in publish and once in use. There is a lot of sequence in a data center. So the moment you are getting out and getting in, that's not a choice. So all these available things simply are, gives me a better choice when we are on the verge of shifting or expanding the existing data center. Otherwise, any new addition, I have been saying, the only good thing is that the class and the type of the data center that are coming over here, what we started and what we are. At one point in time, the APs was supposed to be the data center, but now there are so many the big headache of managing the good type 3 type 4 data center. But as I said, data centers are sleepy. And what I find when we get into a data center, probably we have reserved certain space and we grow very fast. And then getting additional space in the same data center becomes a challenge because of technological limitations of distances. I don't know whether this new data center is a lot of capacity, the space is going to be managed because if I reserve it upfront, I am running money. Okay, but 5 years down the line, might be I have to expand my data center by additional 50 racks or something. Then that time it becomes a problem, and I find that there is a lot of segmentation happens within the data center. And okay, I mean, managing the 3 segments again, additional people, additional this thing, plus technological latency issues are the storage here, servers there, kind of. So probably, I don't know, it's very difficult problem to address, but I don't know whether it's lots of.
Clearly highlighting scale and manageability.
I would like to answer this because both are related. I tell you truly, when I said India has a challenge in terms of these kind of challenges, are real challenges, and how do we solve that is very important. If we don't solve that, we are going to live with the problem, and that is not really. While 1,000 megawatt data centers are getting built, we are going to sell 700 to hyperscaler and 300 to enterprise. While we are building a campuses, 90-acre land or a 50-acre land and another 50-acre, 50 megawatt capacity, those capacity has got a unique feature. You house hyperscaler in the same campus you house enterprise. So all these cities, what I said is Noida, Navi Mumbai, and Chennai and Hyderabad. These cities have got a hyperscaler and enterprise in the same campus. You completely eliminate the latency part of it.
It's all hyperscalers or will it be one?
So there are one in each city. So as of now, we are so partially we are trying to solve now. So housing both in a one campus was the important aspect and complete cloud. It's not a 2 megawatt or 2 megawatt capacity. It's a 50 megawatt capacity is getting built for future. So we are housing enterprise and one hyperscaler partially getting solved by this creating a large infrastructure. Scale was needed. Which is.
But his point is also very valid because we are facing that challenge.
I am coming to that. In addition, we are making a telecom business, which is not a part of this company, AdaniConnex, which we are talking. But the larger Adani group is setting up another company as we talk here. It's called Adani Digital Networks Limited. Wow. And which is setting up an inter-data center connectivity platform only, which is like a non-telco fiber.
This is a highway getting created.
See, in India there are
Which is
140.
only capital for your data center.
No.
Incumbents also. Everybody. So whatever we build, it's not to us. We can connect all the places.
Because your 5G Nokia partnership is exclusive.
I'm coming to that.
That's
See,
it.
today we are setting up this company, Adani Digital Network, which will connect 142 data centers around the country. Today, as we speak, there are 142 or 146 live data centers in the country. Mainly in these cities only, which we are talking. Now, when you connect Bombay to Hyderabad, today, assuming madam you have a DC in Mumbai and DR in Hyderabad, so you will go to a Jio, Tata, Bharti and take multiple lease line and then aggregate them on a single route or something and make them flip over one another. Instead, now here we will be using the utility fiber which will go over the power line, which is much robust, much safer, faster and shorter because the road length is longer than this one power line. Number two, we are leasing fiber from oil and gas. We are leasing fiber along railway, and on this, as you said, Nokia, we can orchestrate this connectivity on any platform of your choice. Today, actually, what Jio is doing, you don't know. I don't mean to disrespect Jio or any telco in particular by name, but you want a Nokia platform, we have an Ericsson platform, you don't have a choice. You will subscribe to distance bandwidth and they will give SLA, matter over. Here you can say that I want it to be done on a CNR platform. So that one kind of fiber, I will plug it into a CNR box at point A, point B, power it up, and that will be your connectivity. Even within the same city, if you have a large BPO type of a setup where 1,000 users are working, and another set of which is an extension, we can give metro network on similar lines. And 5G will be a pudding on the cake where we will give very high density intra-campus networks. The Adani 5G story is going to be enterprise 5G, not public 5G. So after the case of the industry 4 wala, that will be addressed through the Adani 5G. So we will come as Adani Data Center and Adani 5G. And many of these networks on submarine side we are building in consultation in partnership with all the three hyperscalers.
Taking back to
Yeah. Yes,
and that is to our digital
there. We are also a part of Adani Enterprise. So bundling of product is good because we are built with another for the year away.
will it dark purple level?
Yes, it will be available. We are in the process of getting an NLD and IIT lesson, which will be with us by the 18th of September. Once we have that. Today we have IP1. We will.
And so technically everything will do dark fiber, even if it is bandwidth, because I am telling you that I am orchestrating one fiber for you, point A.
I think dark purple is sellable okay than the big
You're
I
right.
go for the dark fiber, I don't get it.
No, you will not get it. Technically the solution will be dark fiber, but sold to you as a bandwidth, even today.
So just trying to understand what he said. One is obviously looking for fiber from oil and gas companies, and your own native transmission lines also should sort of complement what you want to get from others.
It is.
So that transmission network is that long.
No, it is a limited city. It is not available around. It is available in Mumbai. It is available in the city. It is available. So we are in the process of buying some of the companies who has this network, so that it is in Chennai, at least in a bigger towns we have in OPGW. We have in the city like Mumbai, Delhi we have, Mumbai city we have, and some part of the Gujarat we have.
So why I'm saying this, so 4-5 years back we were trying to explore this in my previous organization, which had a line from Bhutan to Delhi, but it from Bhutan. That's quite a length.
Yeah.
But it was only for a particular segment, it didn't cover the rest of India. So at that point, obviously, it was too nascent instead of that's the reason I asked this.
So we are working with Bhutan, Bangladesh, and one or two more countries to build. Actually, Bhutan is a unique place across the globe to build data center that actually gives you a PUE which we never think of, 1.07, 1.1. So that kind of environment is available. And Bangladesh, Bhutan, we are working with someone to see if we can build a fiber infrastructure because for their country they need it. A lot of people are exploring these two countries from a cable landing and a data center point. So in the next couple of years, I am hoping this should become a reality for us.
Very complex.
Yeah, complex. I agree.
Maybe you guys would rather share your
In terms of the values, we have moved to Solo 15 years back actually. What would the value what is the strategy for you, Adani, for the data center space? I haven't got that. I know that there is one space you have taken and how you are going to, what is the time period or something built on the value? So today we have, as I told you, we have got a 3 megawatt capacity. We have taken it from incumbent, and that is available today. As far as the long-term strategy goes, we have finalized. We have not yet played. We have taken a 5-acre land in Whitefield. So that will house about 25 odd megawatt capacity. We are also in discussion with government. There are about 300-400 racks and expandable to 1,000 racks. So either we build on their land or they come to our land in Electronic City. So that discussions are on. Once we finalize that, we'll have 2 availability zone, one in Whitefield, second in Electronic City. Third, obviously, we have recently acquired. So in next 12 to 18 months, we'll have a larger data center coming in Bangalore. Because Bangalore has got a 75 to 80 megawatt capacity, only enterprise. There is no hyperscaler there. So that's the biggest enterprise market. That's growing at a much faster pace.
And one more thing is regarding this green energy is concerned. What you are saying that it is going to be an half of what we are spending now, right? Is it going to be given for the enterprise like us, the same kind of
so
cost difference will going to be showcased?
Yeah, only one leverage point there, the capacity, because this capacity, when you tie up with the Adani group, they are in gigawatts. We talk about 100 kilowatt, 200 kilowatt, and 300 kilowatt. There is a vast difference between those capacity. So we have put a certain number to it, 200 kilowatt plus will be eligible for 100% green. It is very small. Very small, 20 racks in 10 kilowatt rack. So that is the limitation we have. Otherwise, it is available for all enterprises. 100% green. It's not 50, 60, 70, it's 100%.
And also in terms of the cost benefit we are going to get.
Yeah, it ranges from 4.5 rupees to 7 rupees, depending on the city. Where you pay about 9 rupees per unit to a utility. And that too, our PUE, design PUEs are ranging between 1.3 to 1.5. 0.3 to 1.5. In Delhi kind of environment, 1.35 is possible because extreme hot or extreme cold, you can use a outside cooling to cool data center. This journey is going on. I'm sure there will be some more answers in coming year. We are also on a learning curve on a PUE. But things have got better, and I keep telling our customers, late is the latest. We are maybe 10th operator today, but there are a lot of technological advantage we bring in. So you were saying about scale. Today, when I build 50 megawatt data center, it's every customer is 100, 200 kilowatt, 300 kilowatt. So I've got a capacity available for next 20 years. And I've got a land parcel in the same campus. As and when you ask, we can build it up to you. And as far as reservation charge goes, there are some commercial. I think that those things can be discussed and agreed depending upon a relationship. Those things are solved. But from a capacity perspective, there's not going to be a challenge for next 10, 20 years for you guys because 1400 megawatt worth capacity land is available and we continue to buy more and more. And we are building speculatively all the enterprise. We are not waiting, the order will come and then build. We have started construction in 7 towns. And those construction will get over in 12 months to 18 months. And Chennai got over. And Bangalore we have. So those things are becoming real in India now.
So are you also planning to cover A-class city or C-class city in terms of infrastructure development?
Yes. Ahmedabad, Patna, Lucknow, all those Pune.
We want to in different systemic zones.
And all 19 towns, what I said in phase 1, those are tier 2 towns. We have a list of that. I'm not sure it's covered in the presentation or not, but we're happy to share each town.
Is it tier 3, tier 4? I mean, how multiple power supplies from different providers, or is it? I mean, that's always a. Or is it only Adani Power that is?
No. Power is actually a green power. Power has to come from utility. In the Indian environment, sir, Power, unfortunately, fortunately, is two substations. There are, except Mumbai, some part where Tata and Adani both are available, power has to come from the grid in two substation free data centers. So that is the redundancy available. In Hyderabad, we in some part we have that. Let's say we do put two operators. But power is from two sides, two substations.
That is the has that advantage.
Mumbai has. Mumbai has. Mumbai, Chandivali, Tata, suburbs.
Tata and Adani both are there.
Both are.
So I think the last 2 minutes, if anyone has further observations.
So our data center is based out of Noida currently, and so the compelling point for us is that it's a very old facility. So we have plans to change the data center. But one compelling one important point which I could listen today is that the carbon neutrality and the green path which you talked about. So first, for us internally, we have taken a target of being carbon neutral by 2025. And currently, all our facilities across India, they are 50% we are running on the renewable energy.
Yeah.
This is one area which I find interesting to me, and based on which we can.
So I'm happy to solve not only data center. When we talk about clean energy, you have to solve your organization goal of 2025 by solving your organization, or obviously data center is something which we can work at.
Another thing which I saw in one of your slides was basically this DX as a service, digital transformation as a service. I want to understand more on that. How you are giving that as a service, AI, ML, and IoT, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
So how you are giving that? So I want to understand more on that.
Sure. So we'll give you, may not get covered in the next 1 or 2 minutes. So there are the details of each component, each product available. So between Rupi and me, we'll touch base here and walk you through all the nut and bolts of this product.
Even for you, we will actually
Yeah.
we get back to how we solve that problem of one thing and integrity.
So we give you 1 minute for that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
RNC power integration.
Right now, if we talk about RNC, Adani Greens, right? We got a great setup housed in Ahmedabad, wherein the kind of footprint which Sanjay mentioned, we've got almost 25 gigawatt in renewable. We also got some certain thermal footprint. What we've set up is we've created ADL, which he mentioned, 300 scientists sitting out of Gurgaon. They've built an entire application platform for mapping everything on ground. Right? So if I'm talking to any sensor, whether as a part of my renewable energy or thermal energy setup, talks to my industrial cloud. Right? That as a part of a central management operations and nerve center is housed in Ahmedabad for us, which looks into what is the optimal performance of my windmill, whether something is dysfunctional, functional, when will I get the maximum solar power, what part of my solar panels are going to get coverage in the day, out of which what amount of energy will I make. So I can do energy predictions based on the kind of feedback I'm getting from the field. So every sensor today talks to this RONC for us in Ahmedabad and gets that real-time data. And in this entire platform, we've sort of now built it in-house rather than depending on third-party entities or third-party applications. So we'll be more than happy to have you in Ahmedabad and have you, see that RONC.
In addition to that, all the data center engineers which operate across the globe that are getting certificates, that are talking to all data centers, and then our main hub is in Ahmedabad and second is the industrial recovery in Amsterdam. That is something which will be. In the last piece, which is very important from an efficiency perspective, you were mentioning about the people and the availability. The other piece is got missed by me. The HOS is a platform which is a replacement of a DCIM. It is very efficient. It is as good as, I'll not say humanless data center, but close to that. So those kind of efficiencies also we are getting in data centers, that it helps you to actually truly, we say, there is no human required. Automation is something which is very important for data center. Today we need 3 people, 4 people, or 10 people. That is also can be reduced by HOS, which is application. However, it is successfully running from last 10 years in HConnex data center. that has also come in.
Paresh, I think that's one last question, so we'll wrap it up.
I think it's easier question for you, maybe. I just thought in my mind because in I think before 3 years in your corporate office, there will be a fire in the data center, am I right? Or then and you have migrated your data center to controllers. So before, after that, your business has been started, or before that also?
No, I also am aware of this. They got out of their own captive data center.
No, I.
And, yeah, so
That part of the
and we
project,
look at
that
it,
time.
that's a little history.
No, I joined 3 years back. Fortunately, I'm the first employee of AdaniConnex. So the thought process was that's a small 10 rack data center. So then it was only 3 rack. Now it has become 10 racks today. That, by the way, exists today. So that is not gone away. That has not gone away. But because our workloads were going, so we migrated to controllers and then we back to cloud. So that's a cycle we follow.
This was a learning.
Yeah, it's a learning. Of course, and I think thanks Delhi for taking us through this entire holistic approach what you're trying to build in. And I think I recall the investment when AdaniConnex started was about 2,500 crore. And I think that's growing very fold now.
So our investment, I'm sorry to say, it is 10 billion USD.
Wow.
So the land itself is 3,000 crore in Mumbai.
That's what I'm saying. When it started, it was that bigger.
No, so it is 10 billion. We have already invested about 2.2 billion already in this business. And green energy requires huge amount of setup which we need to do it. And now we are getting in products that to absolutely as service as a model. So investments are getting made by us. But you guys will get it now, fixed pay-per-use model.
So I think it has been a great conversation. So that I think it really shows the players like you are really helping transform India and making users. With that, we come to the end of today's session. And thanks again for everyone.
Thank you for making it so early.